Good morning, everyone. I hope you have had a great breakfast and are ready to start today's session. But before we actually get into that, the do now is on the screen. Spend the next 5 minutes in completing the do now. Then we'll come back, discuss responses, and then start the session. Yeah? Great. Alright, let's come back in 3, 2, 1. So can I hear from someone response for the first question? Alright. So what I'm hearing is that in a child's development, physical development, cognitive development, and social emotional development are key stages. Can somebody in blue give me a response to the second question? Alright, great. So what I'm hearing is that like knowing about child development will help me in supporting my students better. Alright. Now that we've actually recapped what we did in the previous session, we're actually going to move forward to what we are going to do today, which is the session that we're going to do today is facilitating a culture of learning, where essentially what we're learning is what is culture, why do we need culture, where is this culture derived from, and what are the different elements of a classroom culture. Yeah, but why are we learning this? So can I actually get few responses? Yeah, great. Thank you for the responses. So like a basic response would be that for our hope, for every hope that we have for our students, for every vision that we have for our students, for all of that to come to life, culture is going to play a very, very important role. A strong culture is actually a prerequisite in that process. Yeah, we are actually going to explore this question more in the later parts of the session. Yeah, all right. Now, we've discussed what are we going to learn, why are we going to learn it. Now I'm thinking about how will we know that we've been successful in learning what we were supposed to. Yeah, we will know that we've been successful in learning what we were supposed to if you're able to define culture, if you're able to have an understanding of where is this culture derived from, and if you are able to explain the different components of culture. Yeah, great. Before we actually move on to the session, I have 3 norms for this session. Can somebody read out the first norm? Yeah, ask questions. Can somebody in pink read out the second norm? Take notes. Can somebody in orange read out the third norm? Stay engaged. Great. With that, we're going to move to the first objective of the session, wherein we'll actually be exploring what is culture and why do we need it. Yeah, we're going to start that process by actually watching a video about Google. And when we're actually watching that video, there are 2 questions that I want you to think about and make notes for. The first question is, what comes to your mind when you hear the word Google? And second question is, why do those words come to your mind when you hear the word Google? Yeah? Great. Let's get started. Alright. Now, let's spend the next 2 minutes discussing our responses with our partner. Then we'll come back in the large group and share our responses. Yeah? Great. Alright. Can somebody whose birthday comes in June give a response to the first question? Alright. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is are words like research oriented, caring, creative, innovative. Great. Now, based on your own understanding of what culture is and the video that you just saw about Google's culture, you're going to spend the next 2 minutes in writing down the definition of culture. Yeah? Let's go. All right, let's come back in 3, 2, 1. Chika chika, boom boom. Yeah, great. I'm actually not going to ask you to share the definition with the group. It's for your own understanding. But now we're going to do, we're actually going to look at how Google defines culture. Can somebody wearing green read this out for us? Yeah, great. So, culture is essentially the way people function and live, and the kind of belief systems and just the ideas that they share. Now, based on the first video that we saw, the definition, our own definition of culture, we're actually going to do a compare and contrast between the two. We're going to look at Google's definition of culture, and we're going to look at our definition of culture, and we're going to see what are the similarities and what are the differences between the two. Yeah, we'll get 2 minutes to do this, and then we'll come back. Yeah, great. All right. Now that we've seen similarities and differences, I think just the purpose of doing this was to make us realize that even though we have very, very different definitions of culture, there are a lot of similarities between our definitions too, because of which we are actually able to coexist in a certain society, in a certain organization. So yeah, that was what the purpose was. Now that we've actually explored what is culture through the Google video that we saw, through the definition that we wrote down, through the comparing contrast that we did between our definition and Google's definition, we're actually going to go into exploring why do we need culture. How will we do that is by actually spending 5 minutes on reading this article around why do we need culture, and then we'll come back and share responses with the large group. Yeah, great. Okay, can I get 2-3 responses for this? All right. So okay, essentially what I'm hearing is that culture is going to be there anyway. It's going to persist anyway. So if we want a conducive culture for our students to learn better, then we have to make a conscious effort to build the culture that we want for our students. Yeah. So this essentially brings us to the close of the first part of the session. But before we actually move forward to the next part, we're actually going to rate ourselves on the energy and engagement scale. You will rate yourself a red if your energy is really down and you're not able to engage at all. Your brain space is like completely occupied. You're going to rate yourself a yellow if the energy and engagement has gone down from the beginning, but you're still looking forward to the next part of the session. And you're going to rate yourself a green if you are all pumped up, you've synthesized your learning from the first part, and you're actually excited to move to the next part. Yeah? Great. All right. Now we're going to actually move to the next part, wherein we are actually going to understand that the classroom culture that we've been talking about, where is this actually derived from? Yeah? In order to do that, we're actually going to watch a video of this fellow called Pradyumna. We're going to watch a video of one of our students, and while we're watching the video, we're going to think about 2 questions. Yeah, first is what kind of culture does this classroom have, and the second question is what do you think these students would be saying, doing, believing and feeling? Yeah, let's get started. All right. Now actually we are going to spend the next 2 minutes discussing our responses with our partner. Then we're going to come back and share the responses with the large group. Yeah, great. Um, can I hear from somebody wearing blue a response for the first question? Yeah, yeah, great. So what I'm hearing is that this classroom has a culture where students constantly question to understand, where they have the I can attitude, where they consider themselves as change makers. Great. Can I hear from somebody wearing red a response for the second question? Okay, so what we would essentially see students say, do believe, feel, and do believe and feel in this classroom would be that they will actually be respectfully pushing each other to get better by asking probing questions. They'll appreciate each other. They'll actually help each other. Okay, great. Now, we've actually looked at what a strong classroom culture looks like and what it can actually lead to. But that still doesn't answer how do we build that sort of culture? What is it that enables that sort of culture? Yeah. In order to explore that, we're going to watch Bhavi's video. And while we're watching Bhavi's video, the one question that we're going to think and make notes on would be that where would we place this class on the culture of achievement strand on SVS. Yeah. And a strong suggestion would be that while you're recording your observation, record it in the teacher action and student action format, so that you can actually see a relationship between the two, and you can actually see how teacher actions are enabling a strong classroom culture. Yeah? Can somebody repeat my instructions very, very quickly? Great. Let's start watching the video. Alright. Now let's spend the next 2 minutes in actually sharing our response with our partner. Then we'll come back and share with the large group. Yeah? Alright. Can people tell me their ratings? So I'm hearing a 4, I'm hearing a 5. Great. Now we've actually gotten a glimpse of what is it that actually enables a strong classroom culture. We're going to explore this further by actually reading Bhavi's vision. Can somebody wearing black read this out for me? Yeah, great. So now, based on the classroom video that we saw and the vision that we actually read right now, we are going to think and answer these 2 questions for ourselves. The first question is just around why did Bhavi create this vision for her students, and the next question is just around how did this vision come alive in Bhavi's classroom video that we just saw. Yeah? Great. Let's spend the next 3 minutes thinking about it and another 2 minutes discussing this with a partner. Then we'll come back and share this with the large group. Great. Okay, can I hear few responses for the first question? Somebody wearing sky blue. Great. So what I'm hearing is that she might have created this vision because her students were uncomfortable in sharing their feelings, in sharing their opinions, or she might have created this vision because she really valued voice and opinion herself and wanted to bring the same in her classroom. Can I get a few responses for the second question? Somebody wearing maroon. Yeah? Now I'm doing all shades of colors. Great. So what I'm hearing is, I think when they were sharing their opinions and when they were justifying their opinions is when we saw this vision come alive very, very strongly in the classroom. So I think when we talk about vision and the way we set vision, something that I can remember from my fellowship and when I entered my community, I realized that early childhood marriages were like prevalent in the community that I was in. I was in a girls' school, and most of the girls there were married off after 10th grade. And I think like a big part of my vision around making them strong women who can stand up for themselves and fight for their rights, I think came from there, because I knew no matter how many knowledge and skills they have, if they're not able to stand up and fight for themselves, they will not get what they deserve. and and yeah, so my classroom culture was around like understanding and I think learning from women like Maya Angelou, Florence Nightingale, and Malala. So I think that is something that I can remember. This actually brings us to the question that we've been exploring in this part, that where is the classroom culture derived from? Does somebody want to take any guesses? Yeah, great. In addition to everything that you've said, so basically your vision is like your classroom culture is derived from a combination of the current reality of your students and what do you want your students to become, which is your collective contextual vision. Your classroom culture is derived from that vision. Alright, now coming down to how do we make sure that we create this a strong collective contextual classroom vision? Can I hear some responses for this? Great. Alright. So like I think very basic ways can just be around visiting your communities, talking to your students' parents, talking to your students one-on-one, talking to the school staff. I think that would just give you an accurate picture of the reality that your students are living in, and then you can build your vision. What do you value as a person, and what do you want them to become, and then combine the two and make a vision which is contextual, which is a vision of the collective and not just yours or just your students, and then derive your culture from that contextual collective vision. Yeah, with this we come to the end of part 2 of the session. Before we move forward, we're going to do the same exercise. We're going to rate ourselves on the energy and engagement scale. Let's see how many reds are there. Let's see how many yellows are there. Let's see how many greens are there. So yeah, overall the room is doing well. Let's make sure that we support people who are on a red. Yeah, great.